small pat on our backs. Yo, we broke 100 subscribers on YouTube. Let's go!
Yes.
Thank you, everyone who subscribed.
Thank you, everybody. Much appreciated. Thank you so much.
I can finally say this without it being a complete mouthful. Please like and subscribe at Coffee with Costa. www.youtube.com/c/Coffee with Costa. Easy to remember. Please check us out.
That's been great. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying it. I hope the viewers are enjoying it too. It's been great. It's been awesome, man. And I just hope it'll just keep growing. And I appreciate everyone coming in and listening to my views and my opinions on the game, whether it's BJJ or MMA. And I'm grateful. And it's been fun having the guests on. I think it's created a little bit more buzz. Ricardo was awesome. Really grateful for him coming on board. And I think he wants to come back again. So that's good news. And I already have some other people lined up. Just to be clear, like guests are only on Mondays. And then, we go back to our regular programming on Thursdays.
If you can divulge the information, who you got lined up? Let's tease the people here. Who you got lined up?
Well, I've been trying to get Monkey on here for a few weeks now. But he's a busy guy. I'd like to get I'm hoping he's agreed to it. It's just a matter of when. I'd like to get Jeff Santos from Fighters Market and Maeda Canada, my sponsor. I want to bring him on here and have him say his story on how, Fighters Market came to Canada and how all of that started. And now he's one of the biggest gi providers in the nation. I'm trying to get Tony Isaacs, one of the biggest figureheads of the Ontario Jiu-Jitsu Association. I'd like to get him on board and have him on here and talk about, he knows a lot about, the history of competitive jiu-jitsu in Ontario, how it started and how it is today. There's a big difference. I haven't talked to Shane, but I'd like to get Shane on here too. Fishman.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It'd be nice I'd like to hear about his stories of going to Ireland and competing a lot in Europe and, and how he's evolved in his game and all that. And talk about a little bit about his fishnet game, which is really, really cool. I haven't
grapple about that.
I haven't had the chance to speak with him about it yet, but hopefully he'll come on here.
No, I think you would. Yeah, no, that's great. I'll just actually, if I want to make a quick plug, I have there's a small video I have coming up on Shane, and just a little bit more on the fishnet, just unpackaging a little bit more, coming on my YouTube channel, B-Grapple. I guess the English term would be traitor, but in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu culture, we have a term called Creonte. I'm awful with the pronunciation. Creonte, yes. Thank you. Can you please unpackage that, and what does it mean in terms of BJJ culture?
This might take a bit, and I'm sorry if I'm going to ramble on, but there's got to be an explanation on how it came about and how it all started. Mm-hmm. Creonte started with how it got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was through Master Carlson Gracie. Rest in peace. He passed away many years ago, and he used that word when he was talking about people leaving academies or leaving teams to go to other teams, so he used that word Creonte as a word for traitor, coward, and things like that. But that word actually originated in the Brazilian soap opera, in which one of the main characters was a very tricky, betrayed all his friends, very snaky kind of person. And that was his character. And that word came into the Brazilian, language through this soap opera and through this individual. And then Carlson Gracie just kind of used it during one of his interviews when someone was interviewing him, and he's like, "Oh, Creonte is a coward. Creonte is a traitor. Someone who doesn't, who's not loyal." And that's how that whole thing started, and it became a big part of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu culture, because unfortunately there's been a history that happens more often than we'd like, where there's a lot of people leaving one team to go for another team. There's been breakups in teams where half of the team goes off and starts their own team, and that kind of happens more often than we'd like. Even more as recent as the beginning of the year, where the Mendes kids left the Atos team to start their own thing. So this happens quite often, and it could be for several different reasons. And I'm going to play both sides of the coin a little bit, as far as how I feel about the word, and how maybe you can understand it coming from both sides. So I'm not trying to take sides. I'm trying to see it from both points of view. I don't really like, over the years, I've been in same situations where, yes, students have left me to go to other teams. And yes, I was into this word Creonte and saying, they left and they're traitors. But as you grow up and you mature and you start to understand the world a little bit more, and you start to see things from a different perspective, you start to see things a little bit differently. And it's not so black and white. You know what I mean? It's not so black and white. I think that each case is an individual case, and sometimes it's for good reasons, sometimes it's for bad reasons. But ultimately, what it comes down is this word loyalty, right? Loyal to a professor, loyal to a team, loyal to teammates. And the more and more I look at it, the more I dislike this word loyalty, because sometimes it's expected too much, as in like blind loyalty, and I think that's where it becomes a problem. You can't expect people to be blindly loyal to you just because you're some
authority figure.
Yeah, authority figure would, where you're master or professor and you have a big team, and it's automatically because of who you are and your rank, it's expected that you get loyalty. And I don't like that blind loyalty idea. The word that I would like to use more, if it's trust. You know what I mean? Trust is the proper word. I think trust needs to be built between professors and students, and that trust can be broken sometimes. But trust is important because it's two ways, right? I need to trust you, you need to trust me, and then we go from there. So it can be challenging at times. Now, this is where it gets complicated sometimes. There are individuals that are selfish, right? And there are individuals that are always looking for their own best interest at all times. These individuals are who I have a problem with, because they're going to jump ship from team to team to team, and they don't build that trust, or they don't build those relationships, because they only want what's best for them. And they're going to go to wherever they feel is going to give them what they're looking for, right? And that sometimes could be a selfish thing. Sometimes it could just be a goal-driven thing, where if I want to be the best in the world, and the place that I'm in now is not giving me the tools and the things that I need, then I'm going to go to a team that does provide me with those tools. And again, you can't blame the person for doing that, but it comes down to the individual's personality. If you do it the right way, by explaining and having an open relationship and a trustworthy relationship with the professor and the coach, and say, listen, I'm sorry, professor, I like you, I like the team, I like the guys, but I have a feeling that if staying here, I'm never going to reach my ultimate goal. So I need to go over here, right? And the professor should understand. Like, a lot of the times you have to, what I realize is that I can't hate those people for doing that, or those students for doing that. If I'm not providing them with what they need, I can't expect them to be blindly loyal to me and stay. So there's also a responsibility on the professors and the team leaders to provide their students with what they need. So if they're leaving, first you need to look in the mirror first. Like, okay, what did I do? What did I do wrong? What am I not doing? What am I not providing? What can I change to make things better? How can I improve so people are not going to leave? Right? Because you can't just expect people to stay because they like you. There's plenty of guys that like me and I have good relationships, but they went to other teams because maybe I wasn't providing the right environment of what they were looking for. Right? There's also the case where people just change teams or leave because of circumstances. They get a different job. They move away, right? They go to different places, so they have no choice. They got to go train somewhere else. Maybe there's no affiliate in the region that's from the same team. So you got to go and join another team. So that's got to be understandable, and you got to be okay. There's people that leave affiliations and associations to join other associations. I'm an academy owner. I'm not happy with my current affiliation. They're not providing me with what I need and what I require. I can't be blindly loyal to that. So I'm gonna go to another team that I feel is, has a better trustworthy and a better, basically providing what I'm looking for. And that again, that causes problems because it comes down to time invested, and people are attached to that, right? It hurts for me, even like I have some good relationships with a lot of students that went to other teams or went to other academies, whether it's because they're looking for better training or because of circumstances of scheduling or they moved or whatever. These things happen. What hurts a little bit, what stings for me, first of all, I don't call them Creonte. I don't call them traitors. I don't believe in that word anymore. I don't use that word anymore. I just feel like, man, I've invested some time, and I'm an like I'm a very committed professor. So that time, that investment of time, that exchange of knowledge, my giving it my all in every class and teaching to the best of my abilities, and if these individuals have some success, and then they go on somewhere else and continue to have that success, that stings a little bit. It stings because why does it sting? Because the other team now is getting the credit for the person's wins and medals and success. But initially they kind of started with me, and I had an input in that. So it stings a little bit because it's almost selfish too. Like professors were selfish as well. It's all about ego, right? My ego is like, man, I put all this work and someone else is getting the credit. I want my team and myself to get the credit, right? So that kind of fuels some fire, right? But it's just emotions, it's just egos. And most problems happen because of two things, ego or money, right? And that's why there's sometimes people leave. Sometimes it's just you're not on the same page with that person. You're not like your visions are not the same. Or there's been plenty of times where academies leave associations for other associations because of money, right? Financially, it didn't make sense for them to stay with who they were. You know what I mean? So it's easy to throw that word around, but I think it comes from a negative point and a selfish kind of point of view where you didn't get your way. So you're going to point the finger, right? And you're going to, accuse someone of such of things. But at the same time, there are people like that, though. There are people that come in, take advantage of the professor, take advantage of the teammates, take advantage of whatever they can, and then when it doesn't suit them anymore, they move on. And they go and abuse somewhere else, right? So there's good and bad in this world. We know this, right? But you can't lump everyone that does this into the same category and say, "Oh, you're all Creontes, you're all traitors." No, each situation is different for different reasons, and it's way more complicated than that. You know what I mean? So I try not to use this word too much. I try not to actually no, I don't use the word Creonte at all. Period. I try not to get into this loyalty thing too much, or I expect my students to be loyal. No, I expect my students to trust me and to trust my work and to trust what I'm doing. And that's more important to me, to build a friendship and to build a trust. If they want to be loyal, great, amazing, stick around. If they want to move on to something else, great, go on. I would rather have an open relationship, and if they explain to me why, the reasons why, that's basically all I want. Explain to me why. And if your reason makes sense, if your reasonings are reasonable, then I'm like, hey, best of luck, man. Door's always open. You know what I mean?
I think that's really what you said. What you said earlier there was we gotta take a look into the mirror yourself. I think it's a really powerful statement in the sense that no, if someone's not getting what they want, especially as an academy owner, it's like you want to look to fill their niche, right? You want to make your academy better so that when this future problem comes back, it doesn't happen again. I think no, I think that's probably one of the best.
No, if it happens once, okay, it could be an individual thing. Happens twice, okay, but if it's happening all the time, it's you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If people are leaving your association or your academy frequently, it's you. You're the problem. You know what I mean? And if you can't recognize that, you're the problem, then you're never going to find solutions, and people are going to continuously leave you. And so.
Yeah. So this is a great question here. I want to get to in a second, but the first one I want to expand off. Can you name a few Creonte? Before I want to ask you to name people because it's not about burying anyone here. However, on the extreme end, what's the worst way to approach being a Creonte? And on the other end, what's the most reasonable thing that you've seen, like the most mature way you've seen someone handle this kind of situation?
I think the worst way is just to just leave and not say anything. You just go.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you see them like, oh, where did that guy go? Disappeared. The next thing you know, you go to a tournament, you see them there. He got a different patch on his back, and they're training somewhere else. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's not cool. I think the best way to go about it is to be man up. Man up, and have a conversation. And phone call is no email. Yep. You know what I mean? Phone call. Sorry, I'm not getting what I need. Here's what I'm looking for. And, no hard feelings, but I need to go and train somewhere else. And, and I feel that they're going to provide me what I need. Give the professor a chance to maybe, have a say and go, hey, you know what? Let me try, stick around a little bit longer. Let me try a little bit harder. And if it doesn't work out, then you can go. Right? So at least give the professor a chance to see if they'll do something about it. Right? And then you can move on. Or if you already made up your mind, But man up and say something. Try not to burn that bridge. Try not to burn the bridge. And a lot of the times that's the way to go. That's the best way to go. And then you can still be friends. You can still say hi to each other at tournaments. You can, as a professor, you can still wish the kid the best. Hey, good luck, man. I hope you're successful. And that way, I think most of the guys that have left from me or whatever, or gone to other academies, the majority of them have been on good terms. And I say hi to them, and I wish them success, and I hope they do well. Except if they have to fight one of my guys. Then I'm sorry, man. I hope my guy beats you up really bad. But that's that ego. The ego comes in and like, yeah, I want my guys to win. I want my team.
The nature of the sport.
It's the nature. It's the nature of this game. So, but it's a sensitive topic for a lot of people. But I think a lot of it is more sensitive for professors. And why it's mostly professors and academy owners that use this word. And it's because their feelings are hurt, man. You know what I mean? It's their feelings are hurt because they've invested time and energy into someone to get to a certain point, and then they go and they leave, and they go and like I said, they go and have to continue to have success somewhere else, right? And that stings. That hurts a little bit, especially if you really invested a lot of energy into the individual. Right, that's when it stings, and you and the first thing you want to do is you want to be hateful, and you want to point the fingers, and you want to call them traitors and stuff like that, right? But if you calm down and if you really look at it, maybe it's because of you, and you need to do something about it. Maybe it's your personality, maybe it's the way you teach classes, maybe you don't have enough high quality training in the environment for this person to excel. So maybe okay. sometimes you don't need a lot of good training partners to excel. You just need good quality structure and formats and training regimens to recreate those things, right? So if you're not putting in the work, don't be surprised if people leave you to what they perceive to be better somewhere else, or it is better somewhere else. There's plenty of academies that have these. If your academy, you have 4 or 5 killers, world level guys, but the academy down the street's got 20. That's very enticing, man. That's very, for a young individual with aspirations of greatness. Guess what? They're going to go, and there's nothing you can do about it, because that desire, that passion to be the best is bigger than anything with a lot of people, right? And they're going to go to where they feel they're going to get to fulfill their dream and to fulfill their desire. So if that academy has got a bunch of world champions and a bunch of high level people, they're going to perceive that by going there, you're going to get the same results.
Yeah.
Right. And it's been, this has happened in Ontario. This has happened all over the world. Plenty of high. And the problem is it becomes like a snowball effect, where if all the best talent in Ontario from different academies, because they feel this way, if they all end up in the one place, then you have the one place that has all the best. It's going to continue to be the best because it's going to continue to attract, right, the best talent, because the best talent wants to train with the best talent, right? So this is going to continue to happen. It's not going to go away. And same thing with it's ego thing. It's an ego thing. I'm sorry. Let me ask you, honestly, I don't care who I'm going to piss off with this one, but honestly, when I looked at the whole Mendes kids leaving Atos, why? You have a team that's one of the best in the world. You have a team that you are chasing alliance for that top spot. Why leave and start your own thing? Oh, our visions weren't the same. No, it's egos, man. Egos. You want your brand to be the best brand. You want your way of doing things to be at the forefront. You have the best youth team in the world that's up and coming, and all those kids eventually are going to be black belts competing at the world level. So you want those accolades. You want those, you know what I'm saying? You want the prestige to come to you and not the Atos team. So you can't tell me that wasn't, one, a business decision, and two, an ego decision. Because they could have just, hey, we're good, man. We're all being successful. We're all doing well. We have a brand within a brand. We have the Mendes brand within the Atos brand. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. So my friend Chris is saying something here. Would you mind reading that?
I was on a team that I was loyal for over 15 years, and I was taken advantage of too many times to count. But I was still loyal, and it took my students and my close friends to tell me what I didn't want to see. I was actually going to touch on the cultism, and that comes with why if sometimes if you have to leave. Actually, if you want to touch on the subject yourself.
Well, Chris is a good friend of mine. He's now part of the BO4 team. He left another association to join ours because of what he was stating. He was not happy with the way things were being done. And like you said, he was very, very loyal. And sometimes, like I said, loyalty can be blind. You want to do the right thing, or you feel like you're doing the right thing. You want to be loyal to this individual. You may have built a relationship over the years with this person, and you like them. But the one thing about associations and affiliations, and remember, what was the two things I told you that's a problem? Ego and money, right?
Gotcha.
So if you may like this person, but financially it didn't make sense, right? You didn't like their business plan, or you didn't like the way they did business. And this is where it becomes complicated, because you're talking about martial arts loyalty and martial arts and respect and honor and all this stuff, but it's also a business, and affiliations is business. Bringing people in for seminars is business. And if you don't make it fair, then it eventually becomes a problem. You have to be fair. You can't just, I'm this individual and I expect you to do what I say at all times. No, man, like it doesn't really work like that. It's a business relationship that you have to negotiate to find the most fair way of doing it. Am I right? And if it's not fair, if you're not treating people fairly, then don't be surprised if they leave. Don't be surprised if they go somewhere else. Same thing. Whenever I started doing this years ago, because I've had, experiences. I've had teams that I was a part of implode because of people and things the way they were happening at the top, right? And I was never at the top. And then things imploded. I was semi on my own, but then I was forced to be on my own. So I never left anyone. I was pushed out, So it's hard for me. The thing is that you want to be loyal. You want to, as people, that's why I don't like that word. You want to. It's in our DNA. We want to be, loyal to people and certain things that you believe in and a cause you believe in. But you also have to keep your eyes open, because the second it doesn't become fair, it has to be two ways. It has to go back and forth. If it's just one way, it's not right, and you gotta go somewhere else.
Let's actually take this opportunity to. This happened to me, and I want to maybe spread the good word, so to speak. What are red flags people should look out for when they go to a gym that speaks to this kind of behavior you're talking about, this power tripping from your professors?
I think we're all guilty of it a little bit. I think I'm guilty of it. I think I've power tripped a few times. You can't help it. This is the problem. There's pros and cons to everything, correct? Mm-hmm. And as much as jiu-jitsu is an incredible martial art that empowers people in need, that builds confidence in the meek, that provides focus for those who have mental issues, that provides support for those who are trying to get away from bad habits like alcohol and drugs. At the same time, it also empowers people that are just shitty people. Right? Yeah. So if you're a shitty person and you give jiu-jitsu to that shitty person, well, they're going to be a bigger shithead, a more empowered, more egocentric, more sadistic kind of individual. And the fact that they have the power of jiu-jitsu makes it even worse,
I've seen it 100%. No, I know. I relate to this.
So it's a tricky thing. And sometimes, jiu-jitsu empowers you so much that sometimes you will, especially if you're a figurehead, or especially if you're a head of a team or a head of an academy, you can fall into that power tripping trap, and I'm guilty, man. I'm pretty sure I've power tripped a few times. You know what I mean? I think just some are worse than others. Ultimately, if you go to academy, it comes down to, from the second you walk in the front door, is it friendly? Is it clean? Do they have structure? Do they have curriculums? Is the rules too much, where it's like the professor makes themselves to be godlike, right? Where you have to kiss their feet and bow to them and all this other stuff. I think tradition.
Them on the wall in the back.
Yeah, a picture of themselves on the wall. Exactly. You know what I mean? So I think that it's yes, you need to have authority. You need to be assertive. There's a certain martial arts traditions that comes with it, but you have to find a happy ground, and you have to be careful not to overstep over the line and start the power trip. You know what I mean? I think you deserve, to be called professor. It's a title that you've earned through hard work, sweat, dedication. So if you're a black belt, I think you deserve to be called professor.
If I can interject there for 1 second, just to define professor, secondary black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Sorry?
it's the defining professor, it's second degree black belt, or is it just? Or is it
No, as soon as you get your professor stripes. You know, you as a black belt, you have the red bar.
Yeah.
The red bar, you have that red bar for a year. It's a 1 year probationary kind of vibe.
Right.
And then at the end of the year, you get the professor stripes. That's the 2 white bars that go at the end of the red bar.
Oh, okay.
Like, so they have an end. Like they cap off the ends of the red bar, right?
Oh, okay.
And then in between those, you start your regular first, second, third, fourth, and and so on and so on.
Okay, cool. All right, sorry to interject. Okay, cool. Continue.
Yeah, that's okay. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's hard not to fall into those traps, but it all comes down to how people, and we have a big community, so it's like you want to know about someone, look online, and you're gonna go on if you're gonna join an academy, you look at the professor, look them up. Do they have a good reputation in the community? Do they have accolades that they have acquired? What are their students like? And it's all about class environment. You come in, if you feel super comfortable in the class environment, then great. If you feel uncomfortable, don't stick it out because you feel that, it's closest to my house, it's convenient. Man, as soon as you don't feel comfortable in that environment with that professor or those students, out. Go somewhere else, man. Don't feel obligated. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sunken cost fallacy is a thing. Especially in the beginning. If you haven't spent too much time there and the vibe's not right, get out of there.
And Edgar here makes a really good point. You know what I mean? Where just because you have a black belt doesn't mean you're a good person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's plenty of shady black belts. I know many that do shady things and have shady business practices and so on, right? So just because you have a black belt doesn't mean you're a good person. And that's the ugly side of everything. There's pros and cons. Like I said, jiu-jitsu does amazing things for people, but there's also shitty individuals in our world too, in the BJJ world, right?
As long as we openly address them, hopefully we can start curbing those issues for the next generation, so to speak, right? I think I want to open the floor to Q&A, so to speak. Please. Sorry, comments are killing me.
I just want to say, Jeff, I agree with your comment as far as like turning it into a board and with directors and having votes. They shouldn't have and this is what I've been trying to do with the BO4 team, to be honest. Like, I wish I could do this kind of thing, like Knights of the Round Table kind of thing. We all sit down and make decisions together. I was never comfortable with the idea of being the sole figurehead. I like my guys to have input, and I want them to have input, and that we try to make decisions together as much as possible. It's super challenging. It's tough to get everybody on board on the same page sometimes, but that would be my dream. That would be my goal, to have a Knights of the Round Table kind of idea instead of a sole, big boss kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that actually sounds really promising. Like a proper jiu-jitsu democracy with all the affiliates speaking on behalf of their respective gyms would be healthy. That'd be quite refreshing. I don't think I've ever seen that within our community, so to speak. Not at least. I don't know what happens.
No, I think that there's been look, if you look at the successful teams, they have more of this kind of collab, multiple figureheads. If you look at Alliance, they have three main guys, not one, right? Mm-hmm. And then everybody else under them. Same thing with Gracie Baja. Okay, they have a lot of guys that are involved in the way the direction of the team goes. So a lot of the more successful big teams, they have more than just the one figurehead guy, right?
All right.
What's your other question? I didn't see it, man. People, that's the problem with this. This is the one thing I'm not really too comfortable with, because we're having a conversation. I'm focusing on the conversation, and I'm not, I neglect sometimes the comments that are being made, and I apologize for that, but it's hard, and sometimes it goes too quickly, and, again, I'm focused on what I'm trying to say and not so much on what's, on the comments, and I'm sorry.
I was actually thinking about looking at other streaming options. I'm not gonna lie, Twitch seems like a interesting option, Twitch TV, but that's a discussion for later. I feel like higher belt opening their own academy is a natural progression. Oh, that's actually a good point. How do you feel about that?
What
Like,
do- what I mean by what I mean by a higher belt, like black
like this,
belt
let's just
or
say,
purple, brown, like.
let's go with black. Let's if someone's actually going to go train through the jiu-jitsu for like 20 years plus, right, and then they get their black belt, like, that is actually a legit point. At some point, maybe you do want to open this one, take this professionally. How do you approach that diplomatically?
Well, I mean, first you got to talk to your professor, and if you want to stay within the same organization or affiliation that they're in, and you have to make sure that you're not stepping on anybody's toes by opening an academy next to another affiliated member or academy. Try to find a pocket that you're not stepping on anybody's toes, even other teams' toes. I always say that too. Like, don't go and open up across the street from another BJJ academy. Like, I just think that, yeah, I think it is it good, is it bad? I don't know, but I just think it's rude. You know what I mean? It's a bit rude, and some people care, some people don't care. That's fine. But definitely, if you're gonna stay within the same organization, then you need to make sure that you're not looking to open up, next to another member of that organization, right? I think the issue right now is with a lot of people opening academies and black belts, opening academies, is maybe they're not fully prepared. Just because you're a great black belt or a very good competitor or you have some accolades, that doesn't mean you're like ready to open an academy. There's a lot that goes into it, and that's why a lot of people fail the first year. It's if you don't understand the business side of things, then you're going to run into some problems. If you don't understand systems and curriculums and providing what what beginners want, you can run into some problems too. So.
Well, look, this is you touched on it very early, but like Nicholas has a good follow up here. What about
no? Let me hang on. Let me continue. Let me address this thing with Edgar. Listen, man. If you're a lower belt and you're opening an academy in the middle of nowhere that has no jiu-jitsu, that's how it starts. It's got to start somewhere. So even if you're a lower rank, you can do it. It's doable as long as you have some kind of connection to a source that's going to continue to provide you with support and information and curriculums so you can grow, organically and structurally, right? So yes, it's doable. I mean, if there's nothing around you jiu-jitsu wise and you want to open up an academy as a blue belt, it's doable. I mean, it was done in Canada years and years ago. Most affiliates back in the day were blue belts or purple belts. On my academy that I belong to, my professor Shaw Franco, he was a blue belt when he started, and I was a blue belt as an underling. I was his support, and then we went from there. And then purple belt, brown belt, because there was no black belts, right? So you got to start it somehow. You know what I mean? But if you're a purple or blue belt and you're opening across the street from a black belt or whatever, I mean, it's tricky, man. It's tricky. You're gonna have some challenges for sure.
So if you're going to go that route and like literally open a gym right beside a black belt, I think you're doing that to yourself though. It's not going to cards aren't exactly in your favor at that point, right? It's just like thinking critically. But if you're going to open a business, like just like especially martial arts one, like don't. Yeah, no. It's don't be rude and also just be conscientious and like stack cards in your favor. Like it's yeah. Oh, Nicholas has an interesting question. Who promotes you at this point? Who promotes you at that point?
Who promotes me at this point? So 3 minutes left. I just want to make sure that we don't go overboard here. But like I said, because I am like basically at the top of the mountain, whatever, as far as the BO4 team, I don't have anyone above me. But I made sure that I was up to date, and I continue to be up to date with the IBJJF. And the IBJJF tracks the fact that I have an academy, the fact that I have competitive students, the fact that I have people going to world championships, masters championships, and so on. So I'm still involved in the BJJ community. Once you get past a certain point and getting the ranks, it's not necessarily based on ability. It's based on, are you continuing to contribute to the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? As a professor, as an academy owner, as a coach, as an athlete, if you're competing still, you know what I mean? But I can basically, the IBJJF keeps track, and I know there's a timeline that I follow. And then when it's my time, they reach out to me. They say, hey, you qualify for 4th degree or whatever, like I did last year. I'm like, you're up at that point where you can go for your 4th degree. You apply, you get your certificate, you put it on the wall, and put a stripe on your belt. I'm not the only one in this situation. There's plenty, because I don't have a connection. Like, if I had a connection to Brazil or someone higher than me, then I would take the steps to go towards getting that individual to put the stripe on my belt, right? But because I don't have a connection to anyone above me or a higher ranking than me, I just rely on the IBJJF to track and to give me the rank when I rightfully deserve it, right?
We are 1 minute left, it looks like.
Yeah. Edgar, man, you ask some silly questions sometimes. Gordon Ryan's $250 instructors video set. He's a super talented guy, great instructor from what I can see, but I'm too broke to be spending $250 on instructionals. Plus, it all really depends on what you're focusing on, right? He's mainly an Ogi guy. So if that's what you're into, no problem.
Fair enough. So what's it called? You have any last minute plugs? I don't know how much time, like what the timer's at.
I think there's something weird, man. Let's keep going. We were gone past the time, but it's not stopping.
Oh, are we at that point? Are we that popular now? Or like, did we break a limit?
I think we did, but it's still going though. That's so weird.
Oh wait. Okay, well in that case, I'm going to do this now real quick. Be Grapple. Look at my channel. It's on YouTube. All right, check it out. It's at the end card of all these links. Also subscribe to us, Coffee with Costa, on YouTube. YouTube.com/c/Coffee with Costa. It's really straightforward. We have a URL and everything.
Oh, cool. We have 2 minutes left. We got 2 minutes.
Oh, we have 2 minutes.
Yeah, the countdown finally started.
We started late.
The countdown finally started.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, man, check out our channel. Please like and subscribe, Coffee with Costa. Share with your friends. I hope today's episode was, informative and maybe brought some light to this very controversial word. I enjoyed it. Please.
If you guys, also outreach is huge. If you have any questions or like topics you want to hear discussed, right? Or if you like, we can. There's ways to implement those. Like, please send us messages. Send me, Professor Marco. If things you want to see discussed, please let us know. Like, we're trying to foster, like, I guess, more of a community here. So let's build it. Let's build it.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you guys want us to discuss on here, or you want to hear my opinion on, just reach out to us and we'll address it at some point.
Oh, dude, Q&A mailbag session. That'd be fun. Just like random questions, just like something like Jocko Willink on his podcast. They just read random questions from people on like emails.
Actually, I was just thinking that I want to do an episode where I just like invite people on for a couple of minutes, then kick them out, and then invite someone else. Based on who's on the chat.
That's
so
great, yeah.
maybe
that could be a Monday episode.
The problem with Mondays, I already have like a whole bunch of people lined up.
Oh, fair enough. All right, we're kicking me off my slot. Come on, man.
No, if we do for like a one kind of just where I bring you in and then bring someone else in and bring you in, kind of in and out kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think it's doable.